So let's go ahead and get started. So for anybody that's new to dTools software, we are designed specifically for the low voltage industry. This is all that we do. We help with doing proposals and estimates, also system design and drawings, and we also help with installation management. We can tie all that together too with accounting programs like QuickBooks as well too for any QuickBooks users out there. So to kind of get started here, we'll go up here to the Start tab and we'll show you a little bit about the software and talk about some of the benefits as we go through it. Now dTools, you got your Start tab here. You can see all your different options here within the program. Now today we won't go through everything in full detail, but I'll just kind of hit on some highlights here. So inside the list here, you'll see, of course, there's a Setup tab, which is where all your company settings and defaults are located. So you can put your company logo, your name and address, even your labor rates would all be stored inside the program there. We also do track things like clients and contacts as well, too. We interface with programs like Outlook, QuickBooks, and you can also import all your customers in from Excel as well, too, to get those into the program. And a good place to really dive in and talk a little bit more detail is talk about the catalog. So at the heart of the dTools system is a product database where all your products and pricing will be stored. And we organize that database into products, labor, items, and packages. Now, getting your database set up, that's always a big question is, how much time is it going to take to set up the database? What kind of information is available from dTools to help me do that? We've got a pretty extensive library here. What I'll do is kind of show you what that looks like here. So we've got that pulled up here. So in this library here, you can see all the manufacturers listed here on the left-hand side. So with this, if you want to, you can go to the manufacturer that you want to download from and simply click it and it'll expand all the options available. Now, some manufacturers are dTools partners. So that means they're actually putting their data into the system and helping keep it up to date. So if you have any questions, let's go in here. Let's go to Crestron here. So just kind of show you an example how this works. If we go into a particular manufacturer, we can go and click on it. This will show us all the products available from that manufacturer. We can also use the categories shown on the left. So for instance, if I want to see distributed audio, just click on that. That'll show me my distributed audio options. And I can also type in an item at the top to search as well too. So pretty easy to find stuff. You can clearly see what the item is and hit download when you want to add it to your database. So this eliminates a lot of the data entry as part of the system. So once you come out here and download everything that you need here, that gets put into your personal catalog here. Just go in here to the catalog and show you what that looks like. So in the catalog, you'll see everything that you've downloaded. Now, you can also create your own products as well, too. So if you ever need to add your own item, feel free to jump in there and put that in there. It just takes a few minutes to do that. What I'm going to do, let me just go grab a product in here and let's open it up. So kind of show you what kind of information we're tracking here in the software. We've got our basic information, which you would expect, like the manufacturer, model number, category, also an image. The image gets utilized a few different places throughout the system. We can show the picture of the item next to the product on the quote or proposal. We can also use that image for doing things like line drawings with our Visio interface inside the system. Always have a link here to the product on the manufacturer site as well too, if you want to link that into your proposal, digital proposal as well. We've got descriptions in here too, short and long. So everyone, sometimes you have that customer that just wants the full detail of everything. This allows you to show them the full breakout or the full description of that product. A lot of times you may just want to use a short description, keep the quote short and simple. Don't overwhelm people with details, so you can, go in there and use that option if you want to. So the great thing is you can toggle between the two when you're building a quote or proposal for the customer. We also have a price tab in here too where all your pricing is stored. Now for a lot of people we talk to are constantly looking up prices every single time you're doing a quote or having to call the vendor or log into a website. The great thing about this is this does store all your pricing in one central location, so you don't have to constantly go and look it up and re-enter it every single time. Now with pricing, there may be different levels you want to set for different types of customers, so you'll see these things here called price types. We allow you to do up to 12 of those, and you can call those whatever you want here inside the system. And you'll see you've got a cost in here, a selling price, a margin, and a markup. Now, you get to set your selling price to what you want to sell it for. Now, the cost also, too, will vary from dealer to dealer, so we do have a way of importing your price sheets into the system. They just need to be in Excel format. We also have some other handy tools as well where you can set up formulas, so you can say, okay, for this brand, my cost is 50% of list or 40% of list, so you can actually set up those rules and things as well, too, for some quick updating. Now, with the equipment pricing, the other factor that comes into that is labor. So with the product pricing here, you'll see your labor time down here below. So we've got 2 hours here. This is an industry average that we provide for you. And you also have a phase here as well. So this shows you, okay, this item is a part of my finish phase. So what we do is we take your labor rate for that phase, multiply it by the number of hours here, and this will give you the total install price. So a lot of math going on here in the background. You can always come in here and see a preview of that, but you got your equipment, labor calculations, and tax all being factored in there. So what's nice about the labor being tied to product is it does give you a very consistent labor estimate. So if you have 2 or 3 people go out and estimate the exact same system, you'll probably find a lot of times the labor estimate will vary. So with this gives everyone the same labor estimate. Now, you can also apply difficulty factors too, which we'll talk about. So, not every project's the same, so you can also bump up those times very quickly within a particular job as well. We do interface to QuickBooks, so that's the tab they're kind of showing what it's linked to on that side of things. So any QuickBooks or QuickBooks Enterprise users out there we'll link to. Specifications, so we do track height, width, and depth. Now for the drawing side, this is really key, especially for things like rack drawings. You want to make sure everything fits properly before you go and order the equipment or go to install the equipment. So this can save a lot of time here on the back end by spending a few minutes by drag and dropping and building a rack layout. And we'll show you that here today and how we do that. Also, rack load reports could be derived here as well too based off the information. IOs are in here too, so huge time saver here. This allows you to do a wiring diagram. Now, what's really nice about our drawing tool, which you'll see, when you do a wiring diagram, it also builds a wire schedule or wire checklist for you automatically. In addition to that, other nice reports like wire labels are there too. So everybody out in the field doing the installation gets their checklist, their labels, and a detailed drawing documenting how the system should be connected. So that certainly can eliminate errors. Also can be a huge help for servicing and upgrades for that system later. We also have a feature here called accessories. Now, I'm sure everyone at some point or another has run into an issue where you've forgotten a part that you should have charged the customer for. Obviously, that eats into the margin of the project. In addition to that, it can delay a project too by not having everything we need on site or ready to go for the install. So with this, accessories help eliminate those issues. You can have those parts in here. So as you're building your project or doing your drawing, it's going to remind you of all the other things you may typically need with this. So in this example, I've got a vent panel in here, and I've got some additional programming labor. So you get to pick and choose what those accessories are. They're just pulling from your existing database. So when an accessory gets added, the equipment and the labor get factored in. So great way of speeding things up and eliminating errors as well. So it's just a quick little run through of some of the stuff we have here in the database. Now, in addition to this, you can actually take this one step further and actually pre-engineer some systems or packages. So let me show you what that looks like here. So packages are a great way of also streamlining the process, especially on the sales side here. We can come in here and pre-build a kit or package for something that we may sell frequently. So for instance, this is a conference room package. It has a rack, cart, also a TV. All that stuff is in here. Built up into the package, so you can actually create good, better, best systems or common solutions that you sell, package them together, and then add them to a quote or drawing without having to recreate the wheel. This also, too, gives you a great way of presenting a solution to the customer versus a parts list. So you could say, okay, here's your conference cart package. I could hide the details of what's in that package if I want to, or at least hide the pricing of what's in that package and just give them the solution price, not the parts price. So that's another great little tool in there that you can use for big ticket items or even something as small as like a plate package. You can do that too. So now that we've kind of talked a little bit about the database and what's going on here in the background, let's actually put all this stuff together and actually build up a project here inside the D-Tools system. So let's go up here to the home page. So now that we've seen how you download products and get stuff in there, let's actually put this to use here. Now, there are really two ways of starting a project in DTools. You can start it from within the software. You can also start it from an iPad app as well, too. So we do have a new iPad app called Mobile Quote that launched earlier this year. This allows you to go and meet with the customer, add your locations, put in all the contact details. You can even add pictures to the rooms. You can add your equipment and packages to it. So it gives you a quick way of building a budgetary quote right there on site with the customer. You can even get acceptance right there on the iPad, and the signed copy can be sent to them and you. So pretty neat little tool we've got to go along with the program itself. But let's go ahead and start it here the traditional way. We'll go ahead and start a new project. Now with this project, what we're going to do is we're going to choose a client name. So every customer contact you've worked with before is in here. So I'll come in here and I'm just going to choose a customer here. And we're going to come in and call this, we'll call this September webinar. Now, some other options you have here when creating a project, you can set what stage we're at in the process here. So we'll say we're in the estimating stage. Also, you got your price type option here too. I can choose which price level I want to use for this job. We'll move in next. We've got our site address, our billing address, also a place here for our tax settings as well too. We can even adjust tax rates on each product or labor and equipment separately there. We also have a place for project resources. So depending on the size of your company, you may want to go in there and say, okay, we've got a designer as Seth, we've got Chanel and Steve here. So we add them in there. We can see what role they're a part of here. So that way, when they look at all the projects, they can see which ones they're assigned to or tagged to. We also have a place for additional contacts. So this may be people like architects, general contractors, electricians. So if you've ever had that phone call, somebody says, you know, who's the electrician on this, or you're trying to find some other trade or subcontractor that's supposed to be out on site, this will allow you to have all those contacts printed off on the cover page or any other documents you want. So everybody can access it and find it. We also have a place here for scope of work. So this shows you your general scope for the project. Now with this, you can certainly type in here. You can copy and paste as well. What we do to speed this part of it up is we allow you to drop what are called snippets in here. So once again, trying to eliminate that whole copy-paste process, having to look up things and copy and paste from different things. So let's go and do a security. We'll do voice via data. I'm going to drop a few systems in here. So what it does, it drops in my scope. There is also a spell check in here as well too. I know some of us need that. So we got that in there as well, and you can add to that dictionary if you need to. And you can also create these on the fly. So if I type something out here and I'm like, you know what, that's great, that's brilliant, I'm going to use that again, I can just highlight this, select new snippet, and that captures all that text and allows me to save it and even put it in a folder for future use. So it gives you a little database or repository for scope of work descriptions. We also have a place for locations. So building a project and assigning equipment to locations has a huge advantage. Obviously, from a proposal standpoint, I can break this down room by room for the customer and myself. Also, for whoever's doing the drawing, if a drawing is needed for a project, it's usually helpful to be able to see, okay, show me just the equipment on the first floor or in this room or in that room. Makes it easy to organize. And also, last but not least, the installation phase. So we give you wire labels, wire checklist, equipment list. Everything can be grouped and organized by room. So just spending a couple minutes here doing this will really save yourself sometimes hours on a project. So I'm going to come in here. Let's add some locations. And first thing it does, it pulls up a list of common locations. Now, these are locations that are in my system. You can edit this list to what you want. We do work with commercial integrators as well as residential, so you'll see kind of a mix here in mine. So you can just choose what's in yours. Now I'm going to do we'll do a sample commercial project here, a small one. So we'll do our first and second floor here. Now if I go into the first floor here, I'm going to go into my sub locations and we're going to go in and choose a closet. We'll throw like a conference room in here and we'll throw a few other options in. So no matter if you're residential or doing commercial, the concept's the same. You've got rooms, you've got floors and things that you can add in there. You can always move these things around as well too. And depending on the project, depending on how detailed you want to get, you can even go into a room and actually identify racks as their own areas as well too. So get as deep there as you need. And you can even do a scope of work by room if you want to. And we also allow you to assign systems. Once again, all the benefits we mentioned with locations are on the systems too. If I want to be able to break this out by control system, audio system, lighting, security, all these options. You may want to break these out for the customer or for yourself later. So we'll put those in there. We've got our payment schedule, how we want to get paid for the project. So this allows you to generate that automatically without having to, punch it out on a calculator every single time and figure it out. Put that in here and we can set a date. And last but not least, we give you a custom fields area, just a place for any additional notes or anything you may want to know on the project. Common when I see Gator security code for the building or the home, it's good to know, and you can have that show up on any, work orders or install tickets as well too in here. So we'll go ahead and hit save on that. We'll go ahead and jump into building our project. Now, with dTools, the great thing about the software is you really have two ways of building this job. We can start with our quote or our equipment list first, and then later we can make a drawing if needed in Visio or AutoCAD. The other great thing about this is we can actually start with the drawing first. So if you're a visual person and you just want to jump in there and start laying it out on a floor plan, build a rack, do a wiring diagram, you can actually start with a drawing, and everything you add to that drawing actually gets built on the quote. So a lot of people find that actually more helpful because it's just a lot easier to visualize and make sure everything is there versus looking at a list of equipment. It does work both ways though, and like I said, you may find yourself using it one way or the other depending on the project, but there is no right or wrong way, but just keep in mind you can go both ways with that here inside the system. What I'll do today, just to kind of give you an example of how it works both ways, we'll do kind of half of our quote here in this side, and then we'll go and we'll do our drawing and add a few more parts there along the way to show you how you would do it in either scenario. Now, with our quoting and estimating tool, as you'll kind of see as I'm going through the software, we have what's called a ribbon layout. So very similar to what you may be used to using with the newer versions of Word and Excel and PowerPoint and stuff from Microsoft. We didn't want to copy them, but we did want to mirror the layout as far as the way it's used, because a lot of people are familiar with using that interface. You'll see if I want to run reports, I go to the Reports tab. There's all my reporting options. If I want to go to the catalog and download some new stuff, it's under catalog. So pretty well thought out here at the top. You've got your database here on the left-hand side, so you'll see there's my products that I've downloaded here inside the system. On the right, there's my rooms and also the system names for the job. So getting stuff in here, pretty straightforward. You just go find the product here on the left. Now, I think the search is certainly the fastest way to find stuff because you can just type whatever you want in there and it starts narrowing down the results. So if I know a model number, for instance, I type it in and that brings up the part. I can come over here and say, all right, that's going to go in rack 1. It's going to be a part of our audio system. And I'm just going to come over here and drag this into my project. There's my accessories, so it's saying, hey, there's your event panel. Do you want to include that? And also your programming. So go ahead and add that in there. So if you have that person on your team, it's always forgetting stuff. It's like having an engineer standing over your shoulder and tapping you saying, hey, don't forget that, don't forget this. So you can have that in there. Also, let's go in here. Let's say we want to throw in a speaker. So the good thing about it is you don't have to memorize model numbers in here. You could just say, all right, I need a speaker. And I could type in the word wall or ceiling, or I could type in a brand name as well. And once I find what I'm looking for, I can say, all right, I want that speaker, and I'm going to throw that over here in this conference room, this hallway, this office 1 and 2. So I go and select that, and I go over here and drag and drop this in. This then prompts me for my accessories once again that I may want to include with the speaker. And cable can be one good option there. You can have a runner cable drop in there for every speaker that you're putting into the project. We can also take it to the level of detail if you want to. We can prompt you for your wire length, so you can change that here at this point if you want to. And we can also go in detail of assigning a head in where that cable is coming from. This is all good, useful information that will show up on the drawing and wire reports as well later on. So that drops in here into my project. So to kind of give you an idea, as you can see, you're just adding some parts in here. Everything's organized by room. We can see our pricing along the way, as well as our overall pricing here so far. Now, once you've got your equipment in here, you may want to go in and make some pricing adjustments. So we'll go into our price tab here. Now with pricing, you can see as much or as little detail as you want. These layouts you see here can be customized for each individual's preferences. And if I want to go in here and change this, I'll say, all right, let's change this to 5,500. Or if I can change my margin or markup, that will do the same here in the reverse order. So what we're going to do is change that. Now you can also highlight the whole job and say, all right, I want to set this to a flat 20% margin across the board. So you can make your adjustments here, and keep in mind any discounts or price adjustments you do only affect this project. So it's not going to overwrite your standard pricing in the database. So once I've got my numbers set the way I want, I'm happy with it, I can come up here to my reports tab, and I can now go present this to the customer. So we'll do client report. We'll go to proposal with images. As you can see, we've got a lot of templates in here. You can customize these templates too, by the way, and of course download some additional ones from us. I'm going to do proposal with images, and I'm going to do it by location, meaning it's going to take everything in this project here, and it's going to group it or organize it room by room or by location. So there's my cover page. Now keep in mind, once again, this is customizable, and you can set whatever picture you want on the front there. Then you've got your room by room breakdown. Once again, a lot of things we can turn on and off here. A lot of times you may not want to give somebody a shopping list. So if you want to hide the model numbers, or if you want to hide the line item pricing, we can turn those details off very quickly. It's just a checkbox there in the settings. And also, of course, show or hide the images. And the very bottom shows you a summary here as well. Now, if I want to change this proposal up here, for example, I can go close this out, and maybe I want to show this to the customer by system, and maybe I want to change the graphics on there. So you can actually toggle between some options here and pick which one that you want. And once you do that, you just hit save, hit run, and this will take what we've done here and actually produce a new report. So different look, organized by audio versus the room. We still get our summary here at the bottom. So lots of options you can do and change very quickly on the fly. And all of our documents, too, can be sent to PDF, Word, directly Excel, or if you use Outlook, you can also email that to the customer right here as a PDF from the system. We do a lot of other client documentation, too, like contracts and stuff as well. Now, you may find it easier to go in there and build what's called a report group. Now, a report group is basically taking multiple documents here and actually assembling those into a package, so it can actually merge together your cover page, an introduction letter, scope of work, proposal, contract, and put them all together into one big document. So you can do those as well too, and it has all the page numbers correct in there when you do that. You also have some great installation reports too, like wire labels. So just what we did here in the last couple of minutes, every cable we've added along the way automatically got a wire number assigned to them, and also a label that we can print off. And we do work with Brother and Rhino labeling systems for that, so you can use those. And we also have regular printer labels as well. There's also some nice wire checklists in here too, which we're going to come back to in just a minute. There's also management reports as well. So pretty much all the financial details you want to check out here on the job, like if I want to see detailed cost breakdown, or if I want to see my equipment list, or if I want to see how many hours this job is going to take. You know, the detail breakdown takes it and groups it down into pretty good detail. You can see everything grouped here by parts, labor, and project. Now, if you're more of a simple, just want to see it on one page without all the detail, you can also do what's called a project summary, which just sums up this project here on one page. So I can at a glance see my equipment totals, how many hours we're looking at, our labor charges, and our overall pricing and margin here so far. So as you can see, tons of reports in here, and like I said, there's also additional reports too you can download from our website, or you can go in and customize and make your own with our built-in report designer as well. So kind of gives you an idea there how you can build a quick quote or equipment list here inside the system. So next what I'm going to do is show you how we can tie this together with the drawing side and make drawings even easier in this process. So let's go ahead and hit save here. And let's go ahead and close this out. Now what we're going to do is we do work with drawings in Visio and AutoCAD, so you can use either drawing tool. Now with this you can actually use both if you want to. So if you want to do a floor plan drawing in CAD and a rack and wiring diagram in Visio, you still can mix and match within one platform here. I'm going to stick with Visio here today. If anybody wants to see AutoCAD, we can jump into that as well. It will work the same though. It's just a different drawing tool here. So let's go ahead and launch this up. So let's take just a second here. So if anybody's used to using Visio or AutoCAD directly, the good thing is it's working natively in those drawing tools. So it's basically just making what you're used to using, a drag and drop interface. Now with Visio here, what we're going to do is open this up, and I'm going to remove the grid here in the background. Let me take that off here. Now on the right, you'll see this title frame. This is customizable as well, and it would show your logo, company name, dates, project name, address, page number. That's all formatted here based off your project settings. Now within the drawings, within Visio and AutoCAD, we do 4 types of drawings. We can do what are called line diagrams, elevation drawings, plan drawings, and schematic drawings. And those are represented by the tabs here at the bottom. I'm going to give you a quick little example of each here. We'll kind of run through those and kind of talk about what those are used for and how it works here inside the system. Now, there is another window that opened up when I opened my drawing, and that is my project editor here. So the project editor is essentially the quoting or estimating tool we were just working in, but it's now open here in Visio. So it does open up there as well. Now, a little advice here, if you're doing drawings a lot, would highly recommend 2 monitors. You could, put this as a full screen, put this as a full screen, and drag and drop from one to the other. Gives you a little more real estate to work with there. But you can get by with splitting the screen like I'm doing here as well. Now, your line diagram, the tab I'm on here first, I'm going to start with that one and kind of move down through the other options there. Let's go grab our amp. We'll drag and drop it out. There it is. And we'll go over here and grab, let's say, a speaker and a cable here. And all I'm doing is literally just clicking on the products from my quote here, and I'm dragging and dropping the parts onto the page. So super easy to do. You can actually connect up your cables here on either end, and you can see it creates what's called a line diagram. So not overly detailed. This is a great pre-sales drawing to do too. So if you're on the sales side, you don't want to get into a deep drawing, which I don't blame you. You just go in here and do a real quick layout, give the customer a visual, and kind of gets the scope or idea of the system out on the page. Now, what's really nice about this, everything you see on this drawing page is not just a Visio shape. It's actually linked to the database. So if you click on it, it actually pulls up that exact product, and you can see the pricing and even the location and system it's assigned to. And as I'm working on my drawing too, you'll kind of see as I go through each page, these little Visio symbols show up here. That helps me keep track of what's on the page and what's not. And what's also really nice about this too is it won't let me make the mistake of adding the same item twice. So if I'm not paying attention, I go and drag this out. It's not going to let me throw it on the page since it's already represented. So if I want to have 2 of these amps on the drawing page, I got to add another one to my project. So there's your line diagram. Super easy, quick drawing to do. Now, elevation views are your front or side views. So you may want to take a picture of a customer's wall or space, insert it in, and show where a TV or a touch panel or in-ceiling or in-wall speaker is going to go. So it's a great drawing to use for that. It's also commonly used for things like rack drawings as well, too. So now, if you recall, we didn't actually put a rack into our quote we built. So this is how you can actually add something to the drawing and to the quote all at the same time. It's really the same process as when we built the quote. You just choose where the equipment is going to go. I'm going to put it in rack 1 and 2. I can also assign it to a system here if I wanted to. I'll come over here to my database, and I can type in a model number. We'll just do a quick search here. Now, once I find the product I'm looking for, I just drag and drop it straight to the drawing page. Now, by doing that, this item got added to my drawing, and it also added here to my quote. So you'll see the pricing went up and is now being reflected in this project. So as I said before, you can start with the drawing first. This could be blank, and as you start adding stuff to your drawing, it starts to build up this list here for you. So it does work both ways. Let's come over here and let's grab a amp and vent panel here from our quote. Drop it in there. We'll snap this where we want it to go. We're going to grab our vent panel, snap this in. And pretty detailed here. I mean, you can actually hide things like the feet just by right-clicking and turning that off. And this is truly to scale, so what you see is what you're going to get. So if it doesn't fit here, guess what? It's not going to fit when you go to install it. Sorry to say. So it's always good to know that now before you order the equipment or you sit there and put everything in the rack and realize, oops, you're 1 or 2 units short. So this allows you to build it up and make sure it all will work properly. Also, you've got your plan view. So your plan view is your floor plan layout showing where equipment needs to go in the space or in the room. Now, within this, if you're using CAD, obviously you can drop in the CAD file into it. Now, with Visio, you can also insert pictures. You can also insert AutoCAD files without having to have AutoCAD. And you can also drop in a PDF as well, too. I'm going to, in this example, let's go grab a CAD file. So let's go grab one here. Now, I put in actually a house here. We're supposed to be doing a commercial sample. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my layer properties. We'll kind of cheat a little bit here. I'm just going to turn off the room name and room dimensions to clean it up a bit. So that'll turn off that information. So we'll pretend this is our office space we're working with. So we'll come in. I'm going to go over here and grab, let's say, this speaker and cable. So whenever you, just like you did before on the other ones, you just click and drag what you want. This will bring out the appropriate shape here for you on the page. And you can just take this and move this wherever you want. I'm going to just make this screen here for you so you can see a little better. So there's my items. Now with the cables and stuff, you can show those on the page if you want to and snap them up. All the cable details are there for you. Shows you the wire number, model number, the type of cable, even tells you where that goes on the other end. So it's going back to our rack 1. So if you're doing that now, that's a huge time saver right there just by having that in there automatically populate. So you don't have to go in there and type that out every single time. And if you're not doing that now, this is a great way of doing that automatically without thinking about it. So now every wire number is actually being accounted for on a checklist. So if I look at the floor plan, I can always reference back to that wire number if needed. Now, as far as the floor plan icons go, we have some really nice, graphical shapes for, speakers. If you want a more realistic view or picture of the speaker on the page, you can do that. This is based off the new J standard that's been approved by Infocom and CEDIA as the new low voltage standard. So you're probably going to be seeing more and more of this and people recommending or requiring this on drawings. We've got that full stencil set in here for all the different disciplines here. And also a symbol legend here to go along with it. So that's all linked up here to our shapes. And also too, we will also have our block set for this here shortly as well too for the CAD users. And then lastly, we also have the ability to do schematic drawings. So these are certainly the more detailed of the drawings. This is where you can go in and show a wiring diagram. So let me come over here and let's go grab a speaker and cable from our project and drag it out. So with this, you get into the detail of how the system is connected. So I come over here and grab my speaker. I'm going to snap it up here. I come over here to my other end of the cable, and I can snap this up where I want it to go here. Now, once you make your connection, this actually does get tracked on a wire checklist or wire schedule. So if you hand this off to someone for install, especially a subcontractor, if you work with those, this makes it pretty straight and clear what they're supposed to be doing. Everything is once again labeled for you. Even, this is on the first floor of the conference room, so pretty easy to read and understand there. Even show you the connection types of the cable there as well. We can even color code wires too. So another little trick, if you want to have all your audio cables blue, video cables is red, you can set those preferences up in our system, and we'll do all that coloring for you without you having to do it manually. Another little common complaint too, sometimes when people do wiring diagrams, the complaint is, well, I've got this huge product on here and I'm not using all the IOs and it's taking up a ton of space. We've even got that handled for you too. You can just drop your connections there and that'll show you only the IOs you're using so you can fit more on the page, and also too cleans it up a bit as well. So that's how you do your wiring diagram. And I mentioned before, this does link back to our wire checklist reports. So I'll see this audio 1 here and how it's connected on my report. So let's go to installation, do wire connections, and I'll do wire connections by wire number. So once again, your documentation is feeding off of your drawings if you do drawings with it. So there's my audio 1, there's my amp, my output, my 2 device, my input, so all clearly marked. And once again, you can modify that report to look however you want. So that's kind of how you do your drawings here with DTools. The same works with AutoCAD. You can drag and drop. We've got blocks in there for the different 4 types of pages in CAD as well. One other good benefit too of doing this is you can also track changes and issue change orders out of the system. And also when you make changes, it actually is super easy. I don't have to go in and change this in 5 or 6 different places just for one equipment swap out. And pretty much everyone grumbles when I mention the word change orders. That's usually a sore subject for most people because it is a painful process. It's also where mistakes happen and also where sometimes we lose money and time as well too and profit on the job. So easy to do in DTools. You can literally just right-click on the product, go to DTools, go to Replace. This will allow me to swap this out with a different device. So, for instance, if I want to go and swap this out with another amp, I'll type in the word amp. I'll scroll down the list here, and what's nice is I can even pick a different brand if I wanted to. I'll swap this out here. So by doing that, it's going to change it everywhere. So I do need to reconnect it here since it is a new device on the output side. But my rack's been updated, my line diagram's been updated, and my quote's been updated. So I could either reissue the quote or I could issue a change order, which would just show you the net difference on that, what's been added, what's been removed, and what's been changed. So we can do revisions within the program and track all that for you here in just a couple clicks. So that's pretty much the drawing interface. Kind of shows you a little bit of that. And like I said, if you want to see more detail on the drawing interface, we do have some great videos online, or we can always schedule a one-on-one training session for you as well too to get into that in even more detail. So last but not least, let's go ahead and save this here, and let's go ahead and jump into the installation phase. So now we've sold the job, we've engineered it, we've laid it all out. Now it's time to go and actually make this thing happen and put it in. So with this, we open up our project here, and we have a thing here called the scheduling editor. So with the scheduling editor, this is where you can go in there and create a work order. Now we can also, too, just a little side note, we can do service orders as well, too, which are handled in a separate area. So for someone that calls up that's not a customer or just, needs something repaired or replaced, you can do those as well in here. So let's go in here and do a work order, and we're going to set this up here, and we're going to put a name to it. So you can call this whatever you want. I'm going to call this, we're going to call this the trim phase. We're going to install trim. Now, you can come in here and pick who's doing the installation. So I'm going to come in and make this John here. Now for the items, this will actually show you all the equipment within your project that needs to be installed. You can use the filters to narrow it down, so you're going to have this huge massive list of all the stuff that's in the job. You can narrow it down by room, by system, by manufacturer, by type of equipment, or by phase. So since I said trim, I'm just going to do the trim items. Shows me all those items. I can just do select all and hit add and close. So based off what I put in here, it gives me my time estimate. It's going to take about 4 hours. And all I've got to do now is either run the report and print it off, or I can send this out via Outlook as an email, appointment, or a task. Now, we will have a new option here very shortly called Mobile Install, which is our web interface for this. So this will allow technicians or installers out in the field to log in on a phone or tablet and actually see what they got to do for the day, the week, and they can also update this stuff out in the field, track their time, and also upload photos and stuff too, all back to the software from the web. So pretty neat tool. I'll show you a little sneak preview of that as well too here in just a second so you can check that out. So let's go in here, let's do an appointment here, and just kind of show you how it works. As of this moment right now, we can send it out via Outlook or just run the reports. Now the Outlook option here, what that does, this does queue up an appointment here for you. Fills everything out that you need, even the person's email address is in there ready to go, so we just literally have to hit send. We've got our client name, project name, Google Maps links in there. We've got other documents too, like our packing list. It shows us what needs to go out to the job site. We can check it off, sign it off, make sure we got everything that we need so we don't have to come back and make a second or third trip or any surprise trips to the local hardware store. We also have in here, we've got our task details here, so you can see room by room what needs to be installed and how much time it should take. Once again, this is all going to be fully digital or web-based here in just a couple months. And then we also have our ship list too. This shows us everything that was delivered or installed. We can review this with a customer so they can sign off on it, so that way there's no questions or issues about did they get this or did they not. So another great accountability tool in there as well. So all that comes sent out here via Outlook, and once this is all sent out here, save it. It does produce a Gantt chart. It gives you a nice little visual of the schedule of installation for this project. We also have a built-in calendar as well. It's next to the service order area here, where you can go in and see your calendar for this project as well, or for all projects, I should say. So I come in here and I can actually choose individuals and see what they've got going on for the day, the week, or the month. If you want to see everybody on one calendar, you can also merge them into one calendar as well too. And you can also even organize them by work orders or tasks and by service orders, so you can kind of toggle between that. And this is a floating window too, so you can always keep this open here while you're scheduling out projects. So this we'll have a web-based component to this for the calendar as well, so you can check that out too. So for anybody that's curious to see what that looks like on the web side of things, I'll bring up a little quick preview here. Now, this isn't going to be launched here for a couple more months, but I'll kind of show you what this looks like here so far, just so you can see what we're working on here inside the program. So I'll bring this up here. So we've got this this window here, and what we're going to do is show you the tasks. We've got a dashboard here. So you can actually see here the dashboard of what's going on. Now this will be optimized to a cell phone or a tablet, so you can kind of see this here in any options here that you want. So let's do this here. And what I want to do is, let me just remove this here a little bit so it's a little easier to read for you guys here. There we go. So then we've also got our task menu here. So this shows us any task that we've got scheduled here, and you can also narrow this down by week or month here as well too. So I could see this here. Shows me all my tasks that are in the process. Also a service orders area as well too, and also a built-in calendar. So the calendar is another great way of seeing what you've got on the books. And also I could just click on it with my thumb here, or since I'm on a computer, I'll just click on it with the mouse, and this will bring it up. So you'll be able to track your actual time here along the way. You can also see the individual items that need to be installed too. So this is all in here. Also, images can be uploaded as well. You can actually upload images right from your phone or device, from the camera roll or library on the phone, or you can just snap a picture and attach it. Also, any additional documentation too, like drawings or any other materials you may need for the install, will also be available here via the web. So all this information, including the notes and stuff, all gets uploaded back to the software via our cloud server, and it updates right away. So really cool interface. Will allow installers or technicians out in the field to view their items, update their items, send it back without having to be inside the software. And then you can also even set up notifications as well. So you can also be notified when a task is assigned. You know, it'll send out to that technician. Also, too, as an administrator, you can also be alerted when tasks are marked overdue, so when they go over and aren't completed on time. And you can also be alerted or let you know when tasks are complete, so you can track that too. So some really neat stuff coming with that. Still more features to come on this, but just want to kind of show you here what we've got here in the works related to this as well. So that's called Mobile Install, and like I said, that'll be launching here by the end of the year. So basically, that's just a general overview here of the system. Like really the only thing we didn't get into is how we tie the system in with QuickBooks. So we can do all of that as well too and transfer that in as an estimate and or PO. We usually don't cover that in the general webinar though, but if anybody wants to stay here at the end and check that out, just let me know. So, that's the webinar for today. We got you all taken care of here in about 40-45 minutes. So if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to post those in the chat window or questions area on the right, and I'll be sure to answer those. Also, the question was about the webinar, if it was recorded. It is recorded, and we'll be distributing that later if anybody does want to check that out. So the other question, somebody wants to see Mobile Quote. That's the iPad app. I'd be happy to show you that if you'd like. Give me 1 second here, and I can should be able to do that. Give me one moment here. Let me see if I can get my iPad here to show up on my desktop. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, we can do that. While I'm doing that, I'll try to answer some other questions here too along the way. So let's see here. Okay, so the one question is about revisions and change orders. So I'm going to show you that real quick here too before we get into the iPad app. So back in the software, how revisions are tracked is you have inside the project list, you'll see all of your active projects, and you'll be able to see any revisions in here as well too. So I've got actually pretty much everything I have in here doesn't have a revision. There's one. We'll click on one that has one. So there's actually a tab in here called revisions. This shows you any revisions you've made on the project. Now you can do a comparison to compare revisions. And what's really nice about the compare is it does show you what's been taken out. So the items in red here were taken out. The items in green were added from one version to the next. And you can also run a change order just on that. So any of our documents we had in the system can be run against just the change, or you can do it here as a change order report. So we kind of show you what that looks like here, and you can see shows you the location, what was added, what was removed, and then you can at the bottom see the net difference there for doing that here on that project. So we can track those. You can accept those as well too. So yep, and like I said, you can also choose to accept those, and you can also pick and choose what you want to show on the change order. So if there's like 5 items on the change and one of those you're eating that, don't want to show that to them, maybe it was your mistake for whatever reason, you can also pick and choose what you show on there as well. So, yep, so that's kind of how we do revision. So there's a whole process in place for managing that as well too. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and for anybody that wants to see the mobile quote app, we'll kind of explain that and show you how that works here. So just give it a second here. So this should show up here on the screen. Okay, so this is the iPad app. I guess one downside to showing this here is you can't see where I'm clicking, so I'll try to explain that here as we go through that. So we'll go up here to the top. So this will take just a couple minutes. You go up here to the tab here at the top, and this allows you to see any quotes you built here at the top. You can also create a new quote. The other third option there is company presentation. So if you want to upload a presentation or a PowerPoint for your company to review with the customer out on site, you can do that. And of course, there's your settings in there as well too. So creating a new quote, it's very similar to what we did on the software, except a little more simplified and streamlined. So you've got your client information that you put in here that also too will import in from any contacts on the iPad. You can set a budget and also put in your scope of work here. In very simple settings here, your one labor rate, you got your tax rate. You can also build in a contingency percentage, meaning it's like a little buffer in there if you want to add 10% to the bottom line just to cover any small things or overhead you don't want to calculate on the quick quote. You can also set what you want as a deposit as well too. Now to kind of fast forward, what I'm going to do is I'll go to my quotes here, and let's jump into a quote that's kind of already been started here. Now, when you're inside of a quote and you're in the build quote phase, you can actually see your rooms that you've added here. In each room, as you can see, you can also associate and add pictures to them as well. You're just pulling from your camera roll or your camera on the device that you're using there. Now, within each room, you can also add equipment to them. So if I want to go in and add a piece of equipment, we'll go into add items here. And when we go and add items, you can choose to add either equipment, or you can pull in packages or wire. Now, how it works with equipment, equipment is not going to show you every single part and piece from your database on the iPad. We wanted to keep it simple and quick so you can get a quick budgetary number together. Now with this, I can go in and say, all right, I want to add an amplifier, and maybe I want to add a distribution amp, and that gets put into the project. Now, once that drops in there, I can go in there and actually set the price point that I want here for that. You can play with the slider here, or you can just type in a flat rate here in the box if you want to. So I could say $17.50, for instance. Now, with this, your labor does come in with it, so you can see your estimated labor time on there. You can also make some quick notes on there as well, too, like if you have a brand preference or any other notes you may want to add. So once you've done that, this gets added to the quote. Now, like I said, the idea of the iPad app is to be a very generic, kind of like a quick budgetary quote. So we're just using general information. Now, this does tie back to the software. So this amp I have in here for $17.50 without labor is going to, when I add it to a project or drawing, it's going to say, okay, here's all your amps that meet that price criteria. So it'll kind of walk you through specifically later once it's imported into the project. Now you also can go in, you can also add packages. Now the packages are specific to what's in your database. So you'll see that everything I had in my database earlier is actually represented here inside the iPad app. So if I want to go down here and select that cart package we saw, that will add it in there based off the exact equipment and exact price in there. So that's there too. So you can build that up. Now once you've built this up, you can go to review it. Shows you a room-by-room breakdown. You can review this here with the customer if they want to see it. And we also have a place here to approve it. So this will allow you to review the numbers here. I'd already signed this one before, but you can see you can sign right here on this. and you can also email a copy as well too. So it just sends the customer an email here with a PDF copy down below, and you can edit that as well too. So we hit send, and then once that's complete, you can come back here to the sync option here, and I can send any quotes I've built here on the iPad up to my software. Just have to be on the same wireless network. You can also sync your database or catalog here too at any time. So that's just a little run through on the mobile quotes to kind of give an idea how it works. So it's just a quick companion app to the software. So you can build a quick budgetary number, make sure you and the customer are on the same page, and use that there out in the field. So if there's any questions on that, let me know. That's kind of a little quick run through on that side of things. So let's go ahead and see if there's any other questions here. So we'll go in and do that. Let me come in here and turn off my turn off the iPad here. All right, so let's see here. Go in